Hi, good evening, everyone. I'm JP Thong, and I'm now at Guitar Forest Retreat. And welcome to tonight's Thursday Paranormal Tales. How's everyone doing? I know that it's been a long time, and I've had many of my friends who asked, me to actually continue this show. So I thought, why not? Since we are going through another lockdown, and I'm sure most of you are now at home. So why not continue with the show? But let me say this is only a special edition. So we're gonna have a few of these episodes, and then we'll see who our next guest is. Okay, so tonight we have a very special guest whom I've interviewed before. She's Lee Kim, and well, as we all know, she's very busy, so she has agreed to come on the show and have me interview her. And many years ago, Lee Kim was the host of a show called The Paranormal Zone, and it was one of the blockbusters on TV. So we're gonna watch one of her video, and then we'll talk to her. But first of all, let me introduce Lee Kim. Hi, Lee Kim. How are you? Thank you so
Hi,
much. Thank you so much for agreeing to join our show.
it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. So how have you been?
Okay, busy. Obviously, every day is like COVID-19 news and all that stuff. But I guess that's part of what they call the new normal. You kind of live with this kind of news, but I try not to get too consumed by it.
Okay. So have you had any paranormal experience ever uh you know after I spoke to you?
I remember the last time you actually dumped me, you had an emergency. And I was left to do this. At that time was the last show of your season.
Yeah, that was supposed to be the end, and that was
Yeah.
I
And I
was
was like, how
supposed
can I?
I was supposed to end that season with you. But yeah, but unfortunately I had an emergency, it
Yeah,
was
correct. And I was
yeah,
just
but
thinking to I was thinking to myself, how do I end this when he's not here? That was paranormal. That was
that was
paranormal. Yeah.
terrible. I was missing
Yes, yes,
for
it
that
was.
for that program.
No, no, I've not had paranormal experiences since it's not that I do that every day, I mean, I don't go around going, okay, let's open the chakras, let's have some conversations going on here. No, 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 I don't do that. I actually do proper Dharma work. Yeah,
That's great. So
yeah.
I know that tonight you have actually allowed us to show one of your exciting videos.
Yes.
Please tell us what this video is about.
The one that I chose for tonight is from season four. Season four, which was about, I think, 3 years ago or so. It was filmed in Taiwan, and it's about ghost
Okay.
marriages. I heard about ghost marriages a long time ago, and for me, it was something that was ritualistic. People kind of do it out of a superstition kind of thing. So I thought it was like a very superstition kind of thing, but there were still people who had that kind of practice, but not very common. So surprisingly, when we did our research in Taiwan, I actually interviewed and met a man who is properly, uh, in terms of rituals, married to a spirit. And this particular episode focuses on his story.
Wow,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
sounds amazing. It's actually the first time that I've heard this. So well, let's before I ask you any questions, let's watch the video together, shall we?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right. I'm now at a Kunyang temple, which means a temple for women who died without being married. And at the back here are their tablets. I'm curious as to why a temple needs to be built specifically for women who have died without being married. What is that? Is that a form of discrimination? Is it a sense of chauvinism that women, even after death, have a second class grade? I'm very curious. What is the rationale behind this culture?
I got married in 1995. I married two wives at the same time. Besides a human wife, I also married the spirit of her elder sister who had passed away during an abortion procedure. After the marriage, I could see my ghost wife at night. She was my spiritual wife. I could see her in my dream. I described my ghost wife's face to my mother in law, and she confirmed that it was her elder daughter. When we have family dinners, we always keep an empty seat at the table for her, with a set of chopsticks and a bowl. This is to respect her presence. This form of spiritual marriage is very common in our society. There's nothing special or unusual about it.
It is believed in Taiwanese culture that unmarried women who pass away will become wandering spirits. To solve this issue, their souls have to be sent to a temple or marry a living man so that they can go to a better place rather than being wandering spirits. In human marriages, there are legal procedures and sometimes customary rites to comply with. Similarly, in ghost marriages, there are also customary rites to declare that the couple is now husband and wife. I am meeting with a master who has presided over many intimate unions between humans and ghosts.
It is our traditional Chinese custom and belief that the family cannot pray to a gunyang, the unmarried lady who has passed away. If they do, it will bring bad luck to the whole family. Due to that, they end up as wandering spirits as their spirits cannot reside at the home of their family. Some of them will search for a living man as husband in order to get out of that situation.
How do they find a husband?
When some men with bad luck visit places with a lot of yin energy, such as hotel, riverside, or have night visit to abandoned places, these wandering spirits might fall in love with them, and the spirit will be able to disturb them by appearing in their dreams or even touch them physically. These spirits have to let the living man believe that he is having bad luck because they have offended something. Sometimes the man will get sick when the spirits get near to them. When the man can't take it anymore, they will marry the spirit.
Why would a man agree to such a marriage other than changing his luck? Wouldn't it be a social stigma to be married to a ghost?
Normally, the man will agree to marry the ghost because their sickness will heal after that. So we Chinese believe that if you do so, you give the spirit a place of solace to receive prayers, and in turn, she will help you to gain success in your career. It is very good for the family relationship too. I have never seen a case where the ghost marriage brings bad luck to the family.
Is it a legal union? Is there anything called divorce? Do they talk about children? I mean, I'm just curious. Is adultery allowed since it's only a female spirit?
Ghost marriage is not legally binding, but once married, there is no divorce because the spirit has already entered into the tablet in your house. However, the living man can have a living wife and have children like normal. In Chinese belief, we consider the person as senior if she passed away first. So the living wife has to greet the ghost wife as her husband's first wife, and even the children need to greet her as elder mom. If the ghost didn't allow the man to marry a living woman, there will be no next generation. If there is no next generation, it means no one will pray to her, and there is no point for the ghost marriage.
So, is it a case where the man needs the marriage to improve his luck,
Or is it a case where the single lady ghost needs the marriage to receive prayers for generations? I wonder what an academic scholar would say about this interesting practice in Taiwanese society.
The custom of ghost marriage was brought here from China by the immigrants. Back then, there were many people killed during the early Taiwan development, and this encourages a ghost marriage custom and make it very common. We can trace ghost marriage back to the end of Ming Dynasty. There are two types of ghost marriage. The first type is out of self-view, which is to change one's luck. The other type is the case of the death of a daughter's coming of age to marry. The family will write the deceased daughter's name and birth details, put it in a red envelope, place it on the ground, and wait for the passerby to pick it up. If there's a man who picks it up, all the family members will come out and surround him, call him son-in-law, brother-in-law, and the man has to marry the ghost wife. Normally, the man will accept because he believes this is fate, and the ghost wife will protect him and give him good luck. Some will accept because they will receive dowries from the lady's family. There are many other factors for this.
She said she was from another world and she just wanted to talk with me.
I know Mr. Wu because of work. We stay together. One day he woke up and asked me to write down two names, Zheng Sumei and Song Guoye. He said he dreamt of this girl named Zheng Sumei for a week continuously, and she said you can look for Song Guoye to identify her. Song Guoye was a famous prosecutor back then who solved many big cases. We went and met Prosecutor Song and mentioned the name Zheng Sumei. Song said he knew her. From there, I know Zheng was a lady who passed away years ago in an accident where she slipped and fell from a building. Zheng wants Song to solemnize the spiritual marriage between Mr. Wu and her.
Mr. Wu told me that he will need my help in this spiritual marriage soon. One night, I dreamed of myself, my husband together with Mr. Wu. We went to the house to propose marriage. There's a father, mother, and a brother in the house. The next morning, I woke up from the dream and found that my husband also has the same dream.
After our discussion about the same dream, we think that was a reminder for the spiritual marriage. The lady in the dream has been waiting for many years.
Through my research, I found a man in Taipei who dreamt of the same lady for 9 years and never ever met her before. Every night in his dream, he would be in a relationship with this lady, to the extent of even having physical intimacies with her. After a 9-year relationship with that lady in his dreams, they finally got married.
I met my wife in my dream. She appeared in my dream every night for a few years and we chit-chatted. After we knew each other better, I asked if she was from the same world as me. She said she was from another world and she just wanted to talk with me.
Did she give you any message, any special message to find out more about her?
I asked her what was her purpose of seeing me and if there was anything that I could do to help her. She said nothing in the beginning. When we got closer, she said I had to marry her. I resisted initially because I didn't think it was right. She then brought me to a place where there was a book with both our names written on it, together with my birth details. She also appeared in my boss, Mr. Zhang, and his wife's dreams. I started to believe in what she had said and considered marrying her.
So when you married your wife, you must have done the ritual. Did you have to go and look for your wife's parents or family in order to propose marriage in the traditional way?
I asked my wife for her parents' address as I told her that I would like to marry her. She told me that her parents were staying in Taidong, the east of Taiwan. She said that if I was serious about it, I should find the address out on my own. With the help of a journalist, I managed to find her parents' address and met them. After 5 visits, they finally agreed to the marriage.
Ghost marriages is something that is acceptable and also symbolic in the Taiwanese culture. Is it symbolic in your case or is it your reality?
I feel that the marriage is real. There are times when she took me to a very beautiful place. It's too beautiful to describe. We had a good time there and we even had sex. The feeling was even better than in real life. During the intimate moment, I could feel the warmth of her body, like being with a real person. After getting married to her, I could see her anytime, day or night. She soon taught me a lot of things, such as the countless invisible beings, gods, and ghosts. And since I'm her husband, she needs to protect me. So she gave me a code. When she comes, I will have to say the code and her spirit will give the correct answer. If the spirit that appears gives me the wrong code, then I know it's not my wife. I will use another code given by my wife to ask her to protect me.
Have you ever thought of marrying a human wife?
I thought of marrying a human wife or getting a real companion. I asked my spiritual wife and she agreed at that time. My friend introduced me to a girl and not long after that, I broke my right leg. And I broke the same area on the leg twice in a year, just 3 centimeters apart. When I asked my wife about it, she told me that broken legs can be healed, but broken hearts cannot be mended. I understood her message and have since stopped seeing the other woman.
When I did research on ghost marriages, Mr. Wu's story caught my attention. There seems to be a distinct difference between the cultural practice and Mr. Wu's personal story. He honestly feels that his union with the lady ghost is a reality. While respecting personal choices, I am curious if cases like Mr. Wu are real experiences, physically happening, or a case of psychological disorder.
It's quite common in Taiwan to have ghost marriage cases like Mr. Wu, especially in their early times. As a psychiatrist, I would personally refer to it as the Taiwanese traditional cultural belief. So there's nothing weird.
He had a dream. The lady came to him in a dream, and the dream continues for 9 years. Is that possible?
I would like to first explain about dreaming. Normally, people sleep 8 hours a day, and sometimes we dream about 2 hours every night. And we dream 3 to 5 dreams, so even 20 dreams is possible. We don't remember all the dreams, but only the frightening or exciting parts of the dreams. We tend to connect these fragments together, and so it's like you're dreaming the same dream or continuous dream for the past 9 years. However, we cannot prove it scientifically. We respect Mr. Wu's personal experience, but this kind of case is rare if it's real.
What I find very intriguing about the story of Mr. Wu is it appears like he has adapted it into his reality. He has a real marriage with the ghost. Wouldn't that be some kind of a psychological or mental disillusionment?
To diagnose a sickness, we need to examine a few different dimensions. In Mr. Wu's case, we cannot conclude that now he has mental illness. For me, I would refer to it as the cultural bound syndrome, where in certain kind of culture or religion, people will connect with people who has passed away, or even God within the same culture or religion. They will have voices in their head. We can also refer to it as the fantasy that Mr. Wu has. When people cannot get satisfied in reality, they hide their emotions, desire, and make it happen in their dreams.
I do understand what Dr. Ho has said, but I'm always curious. So I would like to put it to a test and see what happens.
I could see my ghost wife at night. She was my spiritual wife. When we got closer, she said I had to marry her.
Is ghost marriage a way of seeking psychological emotional comfort or a fantasy? Dr. Ho is conducting some tests on Mr. Wu to assess his psychological state. I am most curious to know the findings.
We met and did some tests. The result shows that he has no psychosis or any psycho syndrome, except that he can hear his ghost wife. In the Rorschach ink blot test, we showed 10 pictures to see Mr. Wu's reactions. We found that he has low self-esteem. He has difficulties to socialize and make deep connection with people. He has the desire to seek for friends or intimacy. But when he gets rejected, he will feel depressed. He also has the tendency to oversimplify complicated events, try to ignore the social rules in order to stay in his comfort zone. Mr. Wu has a lot of frustrations and he is unhappy in his real life. He needs a lot of support and care. He mentioned to us that he has given up to have a real marriage. He is satisfied with his current ghost wife. Therefore, it can be concluded that he might have built a fantasy world that he feels secure and comfortable.
According to Dr. Ho, Mr. Wu may have a condition called culture-bound syndrome, which is a combination of psychiatric and somatic symptoms that are considered to be a recognizable disease only within a specific society or culture. We decided to do another experiment, which is a familiarity in Taiwanese culture. It is a game called Deep Xin, the Chinese Ouija board. Besides Mr. Wu, I have with me a member of the Paranormal Zone team, who is a first-timer playing this game and who is a neutral party. Also with me is Sophia, a medium who can tell me what I cannot see. I want to know if Mrs. Wu will join us. After listening to Dr. Ho's explanation, we learned that Mr. Wu has no mental illness. But I'm still curious, is his marital status one that is paranormal? Mr. Wu? Do not push the saucer, just rest your finger lightly. My name is Li Kim from the Paranormal Zone. I ask for your presence, the spiritual wife of Mr. Wu Wenta, Zheng Shumei. For your presence, if you are here, please point the saucer with the arrow on this side. If you are present in this room, please show yourself.
Can you invite your wife to come?
She came and went away.
I saw a spiritual. His face is just like a lion. He is now standing on a table. And that's the reason. Maybe his wife to come here.
The lion face is fierce or lion face is protective?
He looked like in a yellow robe. So I think he's a protector, higher level.
Protector, it is fine. From Sophia's description, my protector Doje Shukden, who rides on a snow lion, is present to protect. However, this might stop Mrs. Wu from showing up. I explained to my protector respectfully to kindly allow Mrs. Wu to come. Do you stop here? What's this one? Behind.
I saw three. I think Mrs. Wu is afraid because there are two more powerful spirits behind her.
According to Sophia, Mrs. Wu came with two spirits, and they were jealous as to why only Mrs. Wu got the attention. Before things got complicated, I called to a stop. Then we started the process again. Return to where you came from. We want to communicate only with Mrs. Wu, but obviously other beings came along as well. After Mr. Wu spoke out to invite his wife, he started knocking the back of his head. He looked possessed. His voice changed, and he kept pointing to his head and neck, asking us to hit at the pointed areas. Mr. Wu's movement started being aggressive. To avoid him hurting himself, we quickly asked the saucer to return to the starting point.
What I saw is that then that looked something like a stick, and then suddenly it turned like the eagle, and the eagle tried to fly this side, and I didn't open my eyes, but I hear he's very noisy. At the beginning, a lion come up again, and on the table, and the face is face to him, and then everything stopped.
I know that just now there was more than one spirit, but they were not harmful.
When things started getting out of control, Sophia saw the protective lion come back onto the table. I called for a stop to the session. Mr. Wu claimed some things came, but they were not harmful. We tried to use this method with the Chinese Ouija board to communicate with Mrs. Wu, but we didn't manage to talk to her. During this investigation in Taiwan, I found that we are no one to judge what is right and what is wrong in others' beliefs. But what I found in ghost marriage is that there are many social values in it. Good or bad, that is subjective. It could be a union to make peace with the ghosts, or it could be a ceremony to comfort the deceased family and the man. Do ghosts need marriages? I think the answer lies in you. Do you need a marriage to be happily ever after?
Wow, that was amazing.
Pretty exciting, huh?
Were you scared?
No.
Yeah, I mean it's amazing that you you weren't scared at that time.
No,
Okay,
not really.
so it's amazing that that's a yeah. So it's amazing that in the Taiwanese culture, well, this
Mhm.
is actually quite educational because as it's because they said that it actually originated during the Ming Dynasty, right?
Mhm.
And I is this part of Taoism or is this part of a different type of religion? Do you know?
Um, it was never very specific. I guess from where we come from in Malaysia, I is definitely not the Buddhism that we understand that Rinpoche teaches. Oh yeah, but it is very superstitious. It's despite how modern Taiwan is, and Taipei is it's a very modern city. These very these superstitious beliefs or culture is very deep rooted. It is very deep rooted. The fact that we can still find all these ghost marriages even in this current time is pretty amazing.
So you're saying that it's actually prevalent in
Mhm.
Taiwan? It's very common in Taiwan?
Mm, I won't say it's very common because could see, Mr. Wu, he was, when I met him, he was already in his 40s, late 40s. So I don't think you're going to find someone who is in his 20s or a fresh graduate who's going to go for this, who will agree to such a marriage arrangement. So I wouldn't say it's trendy, but I would say that there is still this belief. More importantly, how it started was that single women who passed away, if they do not have a union, they won't have the ancestor tablet, which means they will be wandering because nobody makes offerings to them and nobody will pray to them. So that's why sometimes some men with the ang pao on the ground, get picked, like, hey, congratulations, you're going to be my dead daughter's husband. They do that. It is from from that lucky draw thing. It's very much about appeasing the spirit of the deceased who passed away as a single woman. It is appeasing her, and that's why there is all this the temple that I went to, the Guliang temple, is to give them a place of solace, because obviously in the modern days the man is not going to agree to be spiritually married to a spirit. So that's why there was this temple that I went to that had tablets of all these single women who passed away, so that they have a place of solace without having to find a candidate to marry. Yeah.
Wow.
So.
Okay, so and it was very interesting because according to what was explained, it says that, well, that people actually marry a spiritual wife to change the luck.
Mm-hmm.
So in actual fact, the wife becomes his protector, like his guardian angel.
Yeah.
Okay, and did they have to like give her offerings like food and incense and all that?
Yes. During the part where I interviewed this lady, this master,
I think we're having some
and those
technical.
tablets, and there was this.
Li Kim, I think there was a technical issue there. If you can just repeat what you just said, we just lost you
Okay.
there. Yeah.
Okay. Remember the part where I interviewed this lady master, and she was, and we were at her center, and there was these offerings, and there was these incense and red string and tablets. That was the so-called marriage ritual.
Okay. So once they get married, does the husband make offerings
Yes.
to the spiritual wife? And if so,
Yes.
what kind of offerings?
The normal stuff that you put on an ancestor altar, fruits, and some occasions you have, like when we do our ancestor offerings. Sometimes you offer a chicken, the kueh, the red one, the angko kueh, and fruits and flowers and incense. So
And the husband does this on a daily basis?
No, on a daily basis is what we normally would put on an ancestor altar, like water, candle, flowers. But that there are occasions like the anniversary, death anniversary, or special occasions like Chinese New Year, you would make more offerings to the ancestor altar. So basically, when a living man marries the spirit wife, that union permits her to have a tablet and an altar. And so it appeases her wandering soul to have a family now.
Okay, that's a very interesting concept, because as Buddhists, we don't encourage,
of course,
spirits to stay in the spirit realm. We always do prayers for them, and dedicate the marriage so that they can actually reincarnate out of. So, but in this case, they're actually encouraging them to stay in the spirit realm and to be married with someone in the human realm. So that's okay. And now the psychiatrist also said that Mr. Wu is actually sane, right? I mean, he's psychologically fine, right?
Yes, correct. He wouldn't be what I think. I'm more psychotic than he is. Okay. I mean, seriously, I think I have done more psychotic stuff than he has. I mean, I really got married. Anyway, so let's not go down there. Okay, so he is not psychotic. Okay, he's not. He wouldn't be psychologically diagnosed as psycho, but he does have social some social issues. When I met him, I can imagine his thinking is a little bit different, but having social issues and not being sociable doesn't make you psycho. So he
Okay.
wasn't crazy. He wasn't crazy.
So please tell us, what was your experience of Mr. Wu?
Okay. I could conduct a completely coherent and mutually understanding conversation like I would anytime with anyone. But he did have, he was shy in the beginning when I first met him. Before we warmed up, he was shy. But at the same time, he was also proud to be married to this spirit wife. He loved her. He really loved her, and they were, so to speak, dating in their dreams for 9 years. So
Oh, it actually went on for 9 years, and that was
yeah.
the time that you met him.
No. His story with the spirit wife started 9 years ago from the time when I met him. I met him about three years ago. So I guess current time we're talking 12 years. The spirit wife came to his dream, and then he acted on it. And then they kind of kept on meeting in his dreams. So they kind of dated for 9 years in his dreams. And at one point, the spirit wife said that you should marry me. And then he, in the dream, gave him the address to contact the parents to ask for proper permission. Yeah, it's really peculiar. I mean, if you were to listen to this and not have an open mind, okay, you would totally think he's,
I'm sorry.
delusional, you would say. But
Okay.
if for example you had a conversation with him and you didn't have an open mind and you were very fixed about things and how it should be, you would say he's crazy.
Okay.
You would judgmentally say he's crazy. But if you talk to him, like I spent, we do spend time with the people we interview before we actually start filming. He warms up. And when he warms up, what I experienced was his feelings, his thoughts were sincere. He truly loved the spirit wife, and he truly enjoyed the married life with her. And I don't know if he mentioned this. Whenever he had, after being married, he has a dressing table, even to the point 3 years ago when we filmed him. He has a dressing table for his wife where there is lipstick and comb and everything, as though she's really there. And when he had meals, whether he ate at home or he went out to eat, there was always a place for her with the rice, the bowl, the chopsticks, and he would put dishes there. And he did tell me that after a few years, the spirit wife told him in his dream that you don't need to provide a place for me to sit anymore. I know, and you have proven that I'm with you. So he didn't need to do that anymore. So it's very interesting. After talking to him for many hours, I mean, over 2 days, I really got to see that, yes, he had some social problems in the sense that he can't interact very well, or is not very sociable, and people may judge against him and maybe even discriminate him as being weird. But he's not. He's just different. He's warm, he's sincere, and he's different. And his spirit wife became his reality, and it is his reality.
Yeah, because wow, that's a lot to digest there. Well, I
Then what
guess
was exciting?
it all boils down to, I guess, for him, because I remember in the episode you were saying that he had, that he had very low self-esteem because he was, well, I think I remember seeing him, limping
Yeah, he
a
broke his
little
leg.
bit. Yeah. So, so I guess he well, I guess he found much solace and love with this
Mm-hmm.
spiritual wife, and he latched on to her, and well, I guess she was lonely and needed some companion because spirits are
Mm-hmm.
very lonely in general.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. So, there's one thing that was very interesting, and it says that the spiritual wife showed Mr. Wu a book that had both of their names. Did you ask him where did they go? Where did they go, and what book is
That
this? Or did she just like, manifested it in the dream? How does
he
that work?
I guess there is, so to speak, a registrar of marriages, right? I'm sure when you get married, people register husband, wife, and stuff. So apparently, I never saw this. I didn't see the registrar, but apparently, um, he was told by the spirit wife in his dream that we were married before. And so what he did was he went to check it out, and he did see his name and her name, but he doesn't seem to recall it. So that was a little bit paranormal, you would say. Yeah. So I guess maybe it was a previous life kind of thing. I don't know.
Well, that because that I was just wondering where where this place is and where and what the book is all about. Before we continue, I believe we have some questions. So let's see what the first question is. Hi, Audrey. Audrey is my distant cousin in Singapore. She says, was his family okay with this, or
Oh,
is he alone? Sorry.
yeah, yeah.
I think
Family.
Likim's yeah, we just lost you there. Okay,
Okay.
just let me read out the question. Was his family okay with this, or is he alone without any other family?
His family was totally okay with it. He has a brother who's a dentist.
Sorry, can you just repeat that again?
Mr. Wu's family was fine with it. His brother is still alive and is a dentist. So they were all
And
agreeable.
okay, did they say why? Were they agreeable, or is it like a common practice?
No, I guess I didn't meet the family, but it is what he wanted. And so the family agreed. So I guess,
That's very supportive, I guess.
I guess because it's like I said, it's not something new. It's not something totally out of the normal. It's practiced. It was practiced before. So I guess on a cultural level, the family probably thought, okay, if he's happy like this,
That's why I said they're a very supportive family.
yeah, I
As long as
guess,
he's happy,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay. Do we have any more questions?
Oh, I see my friend Dana
You see,
Scully. I don't know if she's still online watching. Hey Sam, how are you? She's come. I think she should be watching from California.
oh, okay.
Mm.
Okay, I guess we don't have any questions. Well, you please, if you have any questions, please write it in the comment section and we will answer them. So moving along. Now, what's another fascinating thing that Mr. Wu said that was that the spiritual wife would actually give him a code to
Yeah,
verify, right, that is actually her.
yeah.
And I've heard that as well from our teacher Tam Rinpoche because spirits can manifest as another person who are familiar with us, I mean, or who know us.
Mm.
And Rinpoche used to tell me that a lot, because there are times where, so when, where if let's say our loved ones passed away and we think we see the spirit coming back. But apparently there are certain spirits
Yep.
who love to actually take a form of the deceased person and come to the loved ones and actually behave like the deceased person. So she's very smart. So I guess in the spirit world, she is aware of that, and she actually gave him a code, and I thought that was very smart of her.
She also gave him an SOS code in case there was an impersonator.
What
There
would
was
she what would she have done with the SOS code? I mean, like he's supposed to call out the SOS
yeah, right.
code.
So in the dream, in his dream,
Yeah.
he she gives him the access code, which is the security clearance code.
All right.
And if the spirit visiting is not her, the code will be wrong, right? And
Okay.
so if he detects an impersonation, then he shouts out the SOS code, and I guess the wife would come and, I don't know, beat up the impersonator. I don't know.
Wow.
Yeah, but based on our experience with the Ouija board, the Tipsin board, the wife is not an aggressive spirit.
Okay.
Because when we played, I mean, I completely discourage anybody who's watching to actually play with Ouija boards and Tipsins and stuff. It's simply because you open the portal and then,
Yeah.
you could actually literally have an open house. And if the situation is not under control and you don't have a mighty Doje Shukden protector, the spirits would come and stay and you can't tell them to go. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Which was interesting because
Yeah.
the psychic
Yeah.
person, that lady, actually saw Protector Georgia Shugden. And I guess it was not safe perhaps for that portal to be open.
That's why the lion jumped on the table twice.
Yeah.
So
there was a sign for you not to continue, I guess.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, because I remember Rinpoche, our teacher, used to tell us stop playing with Ouija boards. Right, exactly what you said. That it'll actually open the portal. But I used to play it a lot in school. In Malaysia.
That explains your encounters, JP. Yours.
See, but the thing is, my encounters only happened when I was in college, and then after I came back from the States, back in Malaysia, and it was only like 10 years later that I actually experienced something. But I played this in middle school. I was like 10 years old, and we'd actually go to each other's home to play. So that was so that's not it's not advisable. Okay, so for those of you who are curious, I would highly suggest that you don't meddle with this, because you don't know what you're going to open up. It's basically a Pandora's box that you do not want to open.
It's true.
But right. So but I'm very, very actually fascinated that our protector actually showed up. Can you tell us more about that experience?
Okay, there's a question from Sharon Ong, which will relate to what you just said. Okay. The funny thing is, in the 5 years that I was doing this show, I met with many mediums, many masters, and etc. etc. And all of them always said that I had a very strong protection shield. Okay, but none except for Sophia, who actually saw the vision of DS or the different symbols like the lion. And in the other episodes that we will share under the special edition, she sees him even clearer with Rinpoche.
Oh, I see.
So I shared with Rinpoche this when I came back after Taiwan, and Rinpoche says that she must be very, very pure. She is a very pure medium with a very good motivation that she's able to see it, to see Dorje Shugden. It was pretty cool. And to answer your question, Sharon, in my experience filming the Paranormal Zone, I've always known for a fact, without a doubt, that Rinpoche and Dorje Shugden would always protect myself and the crew, without a doubt. And sometimes there were a few episodes whereby we are wandering in the sense that...
Li Kim, I think, can you please repeat that?
Yeah.
Because we just lost you there. About a
Okay.
sense, something about a sense.
Okay, so what happens is in the years that I was filming, there were times when we do go into spaces or places that has a heavier, darker energy. And normally what will happen is I will recite Dorje Shugden's mantra, Rinpoche's name mantra. And when I do that, there is a change in that I will experience, such as it's like a embrace, like a heat shield, and it is a sense of protection. And there was one episode in season 1 which also involved Dipsin, and the guy in charge of that place wanted something more sensational, so he was burning all kinds of funny papers and stuff to try to provoke the spirits that were coming through the Dipsin. And it was season 1, and I was not as experienced as I became later on. And that was one of the most tiring episodes, because I reciting DS mantra, and I kept on calling Rinpoche's name, and I said, something's not going right here, Rinpoche. And then the protection shield kind of tightens, or you can feel it strengthen. And then because the other guy is doing his stuff at the back room, wow, it was a very tiring for that episode. So I do get that kind of experience. Particularly this episode during the Dipsin game, I could tell that the protection was very clearly in the room, in a sense that I don't know how to express it.
Did you feel a warmth, or there was an increase of the energy level, or?
There was an increase in energy level, not a dark. It was a very positive energy level, in a sense that it's okay. I think since you guys are watching Paranormal, I'm going to just say it this way. It's a very firm energy. Safe and firm,
Okay.
That's why whenever people ask me, weren't you scared? I really wasn't. And I'm not trying to be some bravo superhero. I really am not scared, because the energy is very firm and it's very safe,
You just felt it in your gut, I guess.
Yeah.
Just felt it in your gut.
Yeah.
Well, that's why, that's what I've learned, is to actually trust our gut.
Yes.
It's not the afterthought. It's what you feel deep down, and you're just so sure of it, and you just don't know how to explain it. So that's very important. Zaru Mache is here. Hi, Zaru Mache. Tashidelek. Thank you very much for tuning in. So well, we do have a few more questions. Kirsten asks, hi Kirsten. Does a man ever feel suicidal sometimes to be with his wife for real? Did he mention stuff like this during the interview? Was he suicidal?
No.
Not at all. So he was
Lonely,
It was-
lonely, not suicidal.
Okay.
When he asked whether he could marry a real woman, and the spirit wife said yes, and then next thing you know, he broke his leg.
Hmm.
And then when he broke his leg, the spirit wife said, a broken leg can heal, but a broken heart cannot. So that was the experience that's when he decided he wasn't going to want to take a real wife and be happily married with his spirit wife.
Okay. And did you ask whether or not it's possible for them to have a divorce? If let's say the man says, I think I changed my mind and I rather have a real wife. Is that possible in this ghost marriage?
No, it's not. Like what the master told me, this arrangement is a ritualistic arrangement. It's a spiritual ritualistic arrangement. It's not a legal arrangement. As such, divorce does not apply.
As
In
in
fact,
separate. Let's say, let's say, for example, if Mr. Wu one day decides that he no longer would like to have a spiritual wife and would rather marry a real wife, can he sever the relationship and spiritually divorce, like separate from her?
okay, I never asked this specific the question I asked was, can there be divorce? And the answer is divorce is not applicable in this arrangement.
Legally
But
speaking,
yeah, but
but
to
spiritually.
to reply your question, based on the information that I gathered during this episode, is that the relationship can end. The spiritual marriage can end on consent. That means they will seek the permission to end it with the spirit wife. And
Okay,
should
so
that happen, then they have to invite the tablet to the Kunyang temple so that she will not be alone without
okay.
offerings.
Did you hear of any instances where the spiritual wife refuses to separate?
No. I didn't ask. It didn't cross my mind.
Okay. All right. No, because I have heard instances, even with the Ouija board, when the spirit refuses to go back,
Oh yeah, I can imagine
that's
it's a
where
nightmare.
that's where all hell breaks loose. Okay, so there is another question here. Freon, well, hi Freon. How Freon Freon is our administrator. She's the one producing this show.
She's producing us.
So what does she say here? How you know the board is moved by spirit, not hand of the other person? Can the spirit follow the player?
Okay. I'm always very suspicious of the players of this Ouija board, okay? As in, they purposely push it, which is why I played, and the other player was part of my team, and Mr. Wu. I was always very watchful of his hand.
Okay.
In the sense that I made sure he wasn't exerting. And I will tell you honestly, there was no force on the deep sin. It moved.
Okay. Well, I for sure, I mean, because I played it so many times, my experience, definitely it's not our fingers because we just barely touch glass, and the glass, well, I used to use a drinking glass, and it's very heavy, and you really need to push real hard to move it. So, but we were just barely touching it, my friends and I. So I know that it's not, that's definitely not us. Do we have any more questions? Because time is almost up. Audrey says the medium also saw an eagle. Who or what was that?
Ah, okay. The wife came with two other spirits.
Okay.
And these two spirits were more aggressive and more powerful than her. So they were actually dominating the game and causing a lot of disturbances until Mr. Wu started hitting himself. Because one of the spirit that came with the wife was actually going to attack Mr. Wu.
Oh.
Yeah. So, which is why he hit himself and he asked to hit here. And it's because he was going to get attacked by the other spirits that came with the wife, which is why the wife
Hi, Li Kim, are you still there? I think we're having some technical difficulties. Li Kim?
we're both okay, we're back.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, you were saying about the wife? About
Okay. So when like I said, based on my experience with the Tipsin game, the wife is not a very aggressive spirit. So she came with two other spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they were more aggressive. And one of them was actually going to attack Mr. Wu, hence the aggressive behavior we saw. And then next thing you know, the lion is on the table again.
Okay,
staring
so
at Mr. Wu.
so what you're saying
So
is
to answer,
so what you're saying is the aggressive spirit actually entered Mr. Wu.
was going to
Was going to, and hence
attack.
so but why was Mr. Wu, hitting his head like that? Was it the
Because
spirit that entered him?
so from what I understand is that the aggressive spirit that came along was going to attack Mr. Wu.
Yeah.
And the wife was trying to help Mr. Wu by asking him to hit himself so that it causes, I guess, disruption, and it will not allow, or it will not. That was
We lost
also
you again,
when
Li Kim.
Sophia. Which part?
You said that the wife asked him to hit himself.
Yeah, so that the spirit cannot disturb him. And that was also the same time that Sophia saw the lion jump on the table the second time, and this time fiercely staring at Mr. Wu, because the Doja Shukden was asking and controlling the aggressive spirit. Yes. So
And what was that eagle?
Yes. Okay. So
Sorry.
coming to that, what I understood is that the other spirits that came along was trying to manipulate the room by disturbing what Sophia was seeing by impersonating and giving visions of an eagle.
Oh, so it's like a distraction then.
Yes.
See? Yeah, they are very, very spirits. Certain spirits can be very, very conniving. And many of them can actually play with our fears and insecurities and actually enhance that and use that against us, Okay, so moving along, Jason, what happens to the two uninvited spirit? Are they still there even after the stop of the Ouija board?
We to end there is a way to start a game. I can't recite it anymore. There's a way to end the game and there is a way to start the game. So when you end the game, you ask them all to leave. There is a certain thing you recite whereby they will go. And of course, it helped that night that Doja Shukden was strongly present, and believe me, they wouldn't want to stay.
Yeah. Okay, Jesse Chung, did the spirits refuse to return when the situation turned out of control?
Slightly, yes. That's why Sophia. That's why Sophia saw the eagle. That was a way of distraction, and the stick, another way of distraction. And also, they tried to possess Mr. Wu in order to kind of remain.
Okay. Dr. Hank, just wonder why we always heard about those spirit wife, but no spirit husband.
Because women won't go for it. Women will change their luck on their own and practice Doje Shubden.
That's very funny. Adeline Young, hi. Yeah, because once his spiritual wife agreed with a real marriage, then next his leg broken. It's mean for his life in future he can't get married in real?
Yes, that's what it eventually meant.
Okay, so the spiritual wife did not want him to marry a real wife then. That's the
Yeah.
message, right?
Yeah, she was heartbroken by his because she loved him. She said yes for him to find a human wife, but she was still heartbroken. And as a result, as you know, spirits do have some powers. I guess her heartbrokenness caused him to break his leg. Just
Okay.
like any other woman, not necessarily only a spirit woman. I think even a human woman would say, I hope you break your leg. Blah, broken.
Hey, Caroline, have the same man ever thought that he will die one day, and is he prepared to be in the spirit realm? That's a good question.
I didn't
Did you
ask
ask?
him. I didn't ask him. But
Well,
I
I
would
would
imagine,
not.
yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I was just saying that I wouldn't be surprised that he would actually, be born in the spirit realm because he is so connected to
Mm-hmm.
the wife in the spirit realm, and most likely because of the attachment, right?
He'll go
He would
there.
actually, yep. You see, to be born in the spirit realm is really not that difficult. Yeah. As long as you're very attached to something like your family members, or in this case, a spirit. Yes, definitely. Even if you're very attached to your home, you can actually be born in a spirit realm and come back as a spirit and continue living in your home for hundreds and hundreds of years, even after your house is no longer there, but in your world, your house is still there. And that's what happens when we're very attached. Okay, I think we need to wrap up. But let's answer another 2 or 3 more questions and we're done. Fuji Wei, hello. I'm just curious, if non-Chinese join the board game, will it work?
Yes, it would.
Right?
The spirits have no discrimination on color, gender, culture, nothing. As long as you have a soul and you want to play, you're asking for trouble.
Yeah, the spirits tend to understand other languages. I think they can actually they can read our intention. So yeah, they can actually read the mind and the intention of what it is that we're trying to say. And that's why. Okay. Jerry, hi. What would happen to Mr. Wu if one day he eventually passes away, and what would happen to the spirit wife? To the wife spirit?
I guess they will live happily ever after in the ghost realm. I don't know.
Yeah.
I would imagine if he passes away, and since he's so attached to his spirit wife, he would definitely have a guaranteed slot in the spirit realm, in the ghost realm.
Okay, I think that's the last of all the questions.
Okay.
So yeah, so in conclusion, well, I personally won't want to meddle with any spirits, based on my personal experience, because you can actually, for whatever reasons, you may want to invoke a spirit, whether it's for protection, whether it's to change one's luck, whether it is to appease, our loneliness because we cannot get a physical partner here. Regardless, I personally would not, and based on my own personal experience, it's actually very dangerous. You see,
It
and
is.
you and right, like him, and even with this example of Mr. Wu, he wanted to get a physical wife, but the spirit wife would not allow,
Mhm, mhm.
and actually got him to break his leg. So can you imagine if he actually said, "No, I want to get a real wife." I wonder what would happen. And that is always the case with spirits because spirits are very attached. That's why they're in the spirit realm. So that's why I would never meddle with that. Yeah. So is there anything else that you'd like to add, Nikim?
No, obviously everyone enjoyed this episode. Yeah, it's
Yes.
one of my favorites as well because it was just so intriguing. And it's amazing that it still happens in today's time. Not as often as in the olden days, but it still happens once in a while. I guess it's a classic example of what my tagline is. What you see may not be real, and what is real you may not see.
Yes.
And
And
on
on
that
that
note, yeah.
note, thank you very much, Lee Kim. Okay. So thank you for all of you for tuning in today's special edition. We will be back with Lee Kim again next week. Okay, so next Thursday, do look out for it. We have more exciting episodes coming. All right, so take on that note, take care
Good
and see you.
night.
Good night. Bye bye. Thank you, Lee Kim. Bye bye.
Bye.